I'm Dr. Scott Lyons, and you're watching or listening to The Gently Used Human. In a world that often feels heavy and overwhelming, the ability to find humor in the everyday and share a laugh with others can be a true superpower. Today, I'm joined by Brian Moller, also known as BMO the Prince, a multi-talented artist whose observational comedy and relatable sketches have captured the heart and funny bones of audiences worldwide. After losing his on-air job during the COVID-19 pandemic, Brian embarked on a new path, producing comedic sketches and sharing them online. His work quickly gained traction, being featured in publications like the Boston Globe, Funny or Die, and US Weekly, among others. But Brian's journey is about more than just entertainment. It's about connection, healing, and the transformative power of laughter. In this episode, we'll delve into Brian's approach to observational comedy, exploring how he incorporates generational differences and real-life experiences into his sketches. We'll discuss the varying reactions and perspectives that different generations may have on the same subject matter, and how Brian navigates these nuances with humor and insight. It's so much fun, but our conversation goes beyond just the realm of comedy. We'll explore the responsibilities and challenges that come with being an online personality, and how Brian creates a supportive and positive community for his followers. We'll discuss the importance of setting boundaries, maintaining a healthy online presence, and using open communication and support to navigate negative comments and heal. Join us as we laugh and laugh and laugh. I mean, who doesn't need a laugh? Whether you're a fan of Brian's work or simply someone who appreciates a roaring chuckle, this episode promises to be delightful and insightful, exploring the world of an artist who refuses to let life's challenges dim his light. Let's get this going. Ryan, welcome to The Gently Used Human. It is such a pleasure to have you. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, this is going to be glorious. I can just feel it in my bones.
The energy's good.
The energy is, the vibe is right, as the kids say.
Hell yeah.
The kids.
Those young bucks.
Those youngers. Those youngers. Now, you know, like 2020 changed a lot of people's lives in a lot of different ways. And I kind of want to get started with, like, how did 2020 change your life in a major way?
Well, it started with me losing every job. I was a high school basketball coach.
Oh, you were? I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, a Boston radio personality.
Knew that.
And then also I DJ'd at clubs and stuff. And obviously that was all shut down. And then
that was not happening.
Yeah, you couldn't play basketball. You couldn't go to the club. And the radio station I worked for I want to say in April, like right after COVID had kicked off, flipped. So I got a call at 8 a.m. and they were like, at 10 a.m., the station's flipping. Thank you for all your work, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, shit.
We're done here. And I walked right into the living room because that's where my wife was teaching 7th grade English. And, and I was like, hey, I'm unemployed.
No.
So, and we had just got married, everything. So we had this new apartment, all this stuff. And I was like, keep teaching, but I'm not contributing anymore.
What was her response?
She was sad because the station I worked for was full of so much talent, like a lot of really talented people. So it stunk to see it go. So she was feeling that first of all, and then she was feeling for me because she knew I had worked probably 7 years just to get to that point.
Yeah.
And it kind of was all of a sudden, boom, gone.
Because you were working in like an accounts receivable for, what was it, like an insurance company or something?
It was Boston Medical Center. I was in like the corporate accounts payable office, and I had no business there. I was there every day working my tail off, but I was like, I don't know math. I can't just sit here in a cubicle all day. I keep trying to talk to people. I don't belong here at all. one day this was when me and my wife started dating. I just said to her, I was like, hey, you don't need to stick around, but like that full-time job I got, I'm about to like just quit and start trying to do entertainment. You can leave if you want. Like I totally get it. And she was like,
is doing entertainment a red flag or something?
well, no, because I was gonna be broke, like broke.
Oh, yeah.
I was like,
yeah.
I'm about to have no money. Like those dinners we went to, you paying now. So, but her response was, I would only leave if you stayed. If your passion is somewhere else, then you need to go. And I support that. And then I was like, oh, you gonna get a ring someday. Like you're getting married.
That be marriage words. Yeah.
Yeah. Seriously, for real. But yeah, then along we shuffled down this path, and I ended up somehow landing in Boston doing radio there, and I loved it. It was great. Yeah. But then 2020 had other plans.
2020 had some deep other plans for you. So what happened next? You lost your jobs, plural.
Yeah.
And then
I had been trying to figure out where my spot was in entertainment and what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And, radio was just like sort of ripped from me. And then I was forced to kind of figure it out. And I remember I went on a walk by myself through this park that was near us, because that's the only thing you could do during COVID was go outside and walk. And I had myself a good cry. Aww. And then just like, I just remember sitting by the water and thinking, I was like, I just got to figure it out. Whatever it is, I'm not done here. There's a new path. I just have to find it. And once I found the creative outlet of posting stuff online and being able to engage with, it was just a different place. You had an audience and you could engage with them and entertain them. Once I sort of found that, it started building, and I never thought it would build into anything legitimate, but then it did. And I was like, oh wow, it almost weirdly felt more like this is the place. This is where I'm supposed to be. This is how I'm supposed to be engaging with people. This is the type of entertainment I need to be doing. And it just kind of flew from there.
How quickly are we talking about before you became, quote unquote, legitimate? I love that word.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure what legitimate means, but I'm here for it.
I use it. I have no idea what it even means.
It's like after 2 million followers, it's you're legitimate. But at 1,900,000,
Yeah. But it was funny because one day, and it was during that time where all millennials were jumping on TikTok and stuff, where it was usually a younger app.
Yeah.
And I noticed that there were a ton of folks posting about being millennials, about being 30 plus and whatever. Mm-hmm. And me and my wife were on a walk, and again, COVID. And I thought, it's funny that people are doing all these TikTok dances, because we had our own, sort of choreographed dances, but we just did them at dances. We had Soulja Boy and all this other stuff. Like we were just the Cupid Shuffle, whatever.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And so she said, oh, that's a video. We should do that. We should because I was a DJ. She was like, you should make a mix with all these songs and we'll just record it and do all those dances. And we did. And she's so sweet. She was like, this is going to go massively viral. I was like, honey, that's so cute that you think that that's not how the internet works, babe. And so we posted it, put my phone down, and 2 hours later, it had like 700,000 views or something. I was like, I think we got something here. But it was funny because I don't dance. She is a dancer. I am not. And everyone in the comments made that quite clear. But that's where I sort of found out, what else can I give an audience?
Yeah.
And I started coming up with generational millennial sketches, because I had just finished a year of improv classes and sketch writing. So I was like, let me lean in on the funny and the silly that I like doing.
Yeah.
And people took to it. I didn't expect it. People took to it. And I was like, oh, this feels in here, in all of this place. It feels right. It feels like I've found the place I'm supposed to be.
I love that. I love that it's like that. the challenges of life brought you to the place you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
And can we go back for a moment and talk about the generational comedy? Because you're kind of like, that's one of the things you're known for. And
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I've only more recently been like attending to that of your stuff and like rewatching it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, how did you even observe? I don't think I would have known the generational differences enough. Like that's quite
Yeah.
like attuned. And so like, where did you like gather? Well, let's break it down. Like let's name the
Mhm.
generations, and then let's name the sort of like generic kind of like info of each
Yeah.
generation. So let's start there before we even get into like how then you make them compete against each other.
All right. All right. Gen Alpha is the youngest.
Oof.
So they're all and they're actually like turning teenagers now. They're like 13,
Yeah.
which blew my
Yeah.
brains out. I was like, whoa, how old am I? What happened? So there's Gen Alpha, then Gen Z, Millennials,
Mm-hmm.
moi, which is moi, and then Gen X, Boomers, the silent generation, and that's like the old farts.
And what can we say like kind of as the generic kind of like branding of each of those generations? Because that's what you built like a lot of this comedy
Yeah.
off of.
I
Yeah.
think the first sketch I posted was millennials popping into TikTok and Gen Z hating it.
Yeah.
And then I read and that's largely based on comments I saw from Gen Zers off my first post with the millennial music.
Yeah.
And so a lot of it originally was just based off of comments and reaction from legitimate people in each generation. And then I started
That's
watching
brilliant.
it and I was like, oh, wow, there are such distinct reactions
Mm.
to each thing. And so I started kind of just following the comments.
Yeah.
And, Gen Z was mad and, they felt entitled and empowered to just tell us we suck. And millennials were just trying to like figure it out. We were like, listen, everything, we had 9/11 and everything has been terrible for us. We're just trying to have fun. Please leave us
Yeah.
alone. And Gen
Yeah.
X just always was forgotten. No one ever
Mm.
talked about them. And then one day I added the Gen X character
Yeah.
and made them sort of the forgotten, like quiet one of the
Yeah.
team, but like real, but quiet.
Yeah.
And a bunch of Gen Xers immediately in the comments were like, exactly us. How did you
Mm.
nail us exactly? And so I just kind of honest to God, just took it all from comments and from other people and
That
just listening and learning from what people really were
yeah.
telling me.
That's like observational comedy at its like finest. Is
Yeah.
like, I mean, it's just a whole new level of like, you're not necessarily going into the coffee shops and like writing the notes. It's like you're taking it from the comments, from the
Oh, yeah.
source that they're giving you, and like
Oh,
turning
yeah.
it back into material. I love that.
Yeah. And me and my wife are those people that
Yeah.
we could go out
Yeah.
for a full night and speak no words to each other and just enjoy people watching. Like literally
Oh.
just love it. And then like break it down later.
Yeah.
So it's just a lot of that. It's really just observing and learning about people because I think it's fascinating. I
Yeah.
love how people interact. And I think there's so much funny little things that we don't even notice. But if you're watching, you'll see. And so I
Yeah.
like trying to throw that out there
Yeah.
into some of these sketches.
I love that. It's like, do you follow like Overheard in New York?
No.
Oh, that's it's such, I mean, I lived in New York for 20 years, and it's like
Yeah.
you see and hear truly the craziest shit. Truly like
bet.
things
I bet.
like the range is so insane. And I used to do this way before the account started. I would write down the wildest things I'd overhear and I would send them to my friends.
Oh,
And then someone
that's
started
awesome.
an account of like Overheard in New York, and it's like things like they're like, oh, I'm so broke, I can't afford my Pilates instructor. Like, and you're like, oh, there's lots of levels of broke, and this is New York broke.
COVID was sort of a pivot point where there was a period of time where we couldn't go out and couldn't go to like the club or whatever. And so I had stopped going out to like I'm in Boston. So I stopped going out to the Boston clubs
Yeah.
for a little bit, and then COVID hit. And so then the Gen Zers had reached the age to come out and be at the club and be in the city.
Yeah.
And so I think the funny part was when I was going out when I was in my early 20s or in college or whatever.
Yeah.
You had to have like hard bottom shoes, like dress shoes and a collared shirt for guys. Like no matter where you went, you had to be everywhere in Boston. You had to be dressed like that. That was the dress code to get in.
Okay.
If it was like a nice spot.
Yeah.
And I went to some of the same places now, and it's Gen Z kids in all dirty old Air Forces and like just raggedy denim jeans.
Yeah.
None of the guys are in collars. They've all got hats, which we weren't allowed to wear.
Yeah.
And just like, I was like, what is going on here? What happened? Like, why are they free to do whatever they want? And we had to. So it was like my first, old man on the lawn type moment. And that was one of those moments I was like, oh yeah, we're onto something here with this generational stuff because there are differences.
Yeah. Can we pick a subject matter right now and just like your skits kind of run through with the subject matter, like how each generation might respond to that subject matter?
All right. Let's try it.
All right.
Let's see.
I'll let you pick it because I'd pick something
Subject.
like feet fetishes or something wild like that.
I don't even know how they would react to feet fetishes. I have a weird thing that in every generation, somebody's a freak. So like when millennials were coming up, we were out and, we were playing basketball. We were out at the park doing whatever, we were playing wiffle ball in the backyard, all that stuff, riding our bikes. And then now this new generation, they all just watch highlights. They don't even watch like the games. So they're watching highlights on TikTok or Twitter, and they don't go out and play. They just like watch highlights, and then they show up to practice thinking that they know. We're like, have you never played basketball before? They're like, no, but I know what a step back three is. And I'm like, no.
Would that be Gen Z or would that be the Alpha Gen?
Gen
like
Z.
Okay.
Alpha, I do. Me and them, I don't know them yet. I am. My niece is Gen Alpha, and I'm like, my God, you guys are different. They are more. I will give the younger generations credit, though. They are much more like mental health conscious. Yeah. They are more. They're way into some of that stuff that I actually admire.
They love to self-diagnose.
Oh, yes, they sure do. And they will diagnose you also real quick.
Yeah. I was like, I'm pretty sure I've actually encountered that with some of my niece's friends. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure only one of us has doctor in front of our fucking name here. But, you go ahead. You go ahead with that. I'm gonna support you in your creativity of diagnosing everyone around you.
I'm sorry, I didn't know you had doctor in front of your name, but all right, fine, 7-year-old.
They're like, I've read every single TikTok on narcissism. Therefore, I have 3 PhDs from TikTok University.
Yeah, it's exactly that. And even, I feel like there was also generationally, and tell me if you like, everyone used to, I feel like sort of Gen X probably was in this space where they had, if you wanted obscure like facts about pop culture or a movie or something like that, you had to have that one friend that randomly knew everything, right? You just had that friend that if you were unsure, you'd call them up. You didn't text them because no, you
didn't exist.
Yeah, you called them up. And you had to ask, Bobby, who was that guy from that movie that did that thing? And then our generation sort of fell into like Google and AOL and whatever. So we would just go on the internet and try to figure it out. And now the younger generations are all getting all their info just from TikTok. They don't even Google it. Yeah. They just put something into TikTok and just trust whoever made that video is telling you the truth. Yeah. Which, wild choice.
Wild choice. Because there's no like, it's not like Wikipedia where I've spent absolutely like no time on TikTok. And I'm not ashamed to say that. I watched your videos on YouTube because I am that millennial.
You exactly.
Yeah.
Also, great point. Also, great point.
And I mean there's no like screen like on Wikipedia going, "Hey, this is more fact-based. This is like
Yeah,
false news." There's nothing like that on TikTok, right?
I think there might be sometimes when it's like
It's some
really out
crazy
there,
shit.
when it's
Okay.
really aggressive, but I think all of the apps and social medias have that now,
Okay.
but even still, you can post some stuff. I've posted bits
Yeah.
of just current events, and it's
Yeah.
not, I like exaggerate for comedy's sake.
Yeah.
And there are people that will be like, this is not true. And I'll be like, of course it's not. I am also not God. Like, what?
Can you give me an example of you not being God?
Because I also do not just the generational ones where I'm God
Yeah.
and I talk to years. Like
Yeah.
2020 was a
Yeah.
bad guy. In 2020, I talk to the years and I
Yeah.
treat it like an office. God is the CEO.
Yeah.
And so it might have been, it probably was some sort of like COVID thing or something.
Yeah.
And I have God yelling at whatever year it was, 2021, about COVID,
Yeah.
and said and dramatized it just to hit the joke.
Yeah.
And it's clear I am not a news source. And so and someone in there was like, well, it's not really killing anyone. It's blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay, great, good. I'm glad this is what you think. But also, I am in my own house, not God, not in heaven. Also, I am not talking to a year that also looks just like me. Like all of this is fake. What do you like? How did you watch this and think reality? This must be it. What?
I wonder if people feel like because you are so well known at this point, if you have a certain quote unquote responsibility. I've been doing a lot of quote unquotes with you. I'm not sure what that's about.
Well,
Quote unquote.
Yeah,
Responsibility.
We're all still figuring out this world, this social media thing. So everything is kind of a quote unquote. We're just making it up as we go along.
Well said. Well said.
Truthfully.
Do you feel, I mean, like, what would you say your main, I don't know, purpose or intention is in what you're doing?
The number one thing, and I started to realize this more and more as it's gone along, is I just like to entertain people. I love to laugh. I love to have a good time.
Yeah.
And I feel like being able to make other people laugh is truly like a gift from God. Not from me, God, real God.
Not the God character you play.
Yeah,
but
not me at my desk. Real God. Like, I feel like it's a true gift. And so in finding my way to be able to present that and present it in a way that really speaks to me and that I can be quick at and present it my way was great. And then seeing some of the response back, and it wasn't just like, I've never been the person that cares about 1 million followers or getting some big brand deal and money and whatever. Although my wife probably wants me to care more about the money.
Which doesn't align with the previous stories, but now.
Right? She's like, hey, we still have bills, guy. Get it together. But
Truth.
For me, the biggest thing is there was one day that I got a message on, I think it might have been Facebook. I don't know. Mm-hmm. And someone just sent me a DM and it said, and this was early on, it said, I just had to leave the funeral of my best friend. Mm-hmm. And it's been really tough. I've gone through a lot of stuff these last few days. And just on chance, I happened to open social media and saw your video, and it made me laugh. And it gave me a reason to laugh and make me feel okay to laugh. And it changed my entire perspective on the rest of the day, where I could have a joyous day thinking of my friend rather than be in a pit all day and down. I could enjoy what we had and blah, 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 blah. And I remember showing it to my wife and being like, this is what is important here, is that I have somehow built this thing, and it has given me the ability to reach people. And and touch people that I don't know, that I may never know,
Yeah.
but you don't know what someone's day could be.
Yeah.
You know, you don't know, someone going through something might see me in a wig in my kitchen, goofing off and playing Mother Nature. And it might be a stupid laugh for a little bit, but it can really shift a day,
Yeah.
you know? And
Yeah.
I think that's a powerful moment and a powerful thing. And I don't take that lightly. And
Yeah.
it's what means a lot to me. That's what makes it feel good to me. That's what makes it feel worth it for me.
Yeah. I mean, it goes back for a moment to that idea of like, what is your responsibility as a, as a quote unquote influencer? I'm just going to do quote unquote wherever I can, just to be, to continue the theme. This episode is going to be called quote unquote.
Quote unquote. It has to.
No, as an influencer. I mean, like, there's this idea of like, your responsibility is to like, da-da-da or da-da-da. But like, the responsibility is like to give people some joy.
Yeah, 100%. I think there's pockets of the internet for everybody, and there's content for everybody. But in my world and in my space, I want to, in a world right now that feels very divisive, feels very crazy at times. And that's why I like doing the current event stuff, because it can take a moment that's hurtful or shocking or a lot to digest, and find a light way, and not a rude way, not an aggressive way, or not making light of anything, but find an easy way to make it worth a laugh, and make it easier to digest for some folks. And I think that's such a powerful thing to be able to do, that I love being able to do it for some people, and meet sometimes people that have come up to me. Someone came up to me at the gym. And it's always weird, because I feel like I am a regular person. Like, why are you excited to be? I am just as weird as the rest of us. Like, but someone came up while I was at the gym, and she was like, "Hey, I don't want to bother you or whatever." And I was like, "Oh, no, what's up?" And she basically told me how through COVID, her and her family watched my videos. And she was like, we were struggling. It was hard. Everyone was kind of emotional and going through it. But one thing that we all enjoyed was like laughing at your videos and the generational videos, because our house had someone in each generation. So then it fueled us joking with each other and having some fun. And so I just wanted to thank you for that. And the thank you, I was like, yeah, that's cool. Yeah. Okay. Like, I couldn't, it shocked me to be like, that's what I want to do, but it's so, it's jarring when you hear someone thank you for it. Yeah. And it's rewarding, and it reminds you why it's important, and why people, the power you can have to just put light in a world that sometimes can feel very dark.
Yeah. Oh, you're so sweet.
I try.
You're so quote unquote sweet. I want to take a moment to give a loud shout out to the Embody Lab, which is one of the most incredible resources for body-based and somatic therapies. This show is all about healing, and the Embody Lab does exactly that. Whether you're on your own journey of transformation and discovery, or enhancing your skill sets in your career as like a coach or a therapist, a body worker, or really any career where you are supporting other gently used humans, the Embody Lab is your place for deep, inspiring, and impactful workshops, certificates, masterclasses, and an incredible community of like-minded folks. I love the Embody Lab, and so do so many other people that call it a platform to come home to over and over again. The Embody Lab is giving my listeners an exclusive offer, a one-time 10% off code to enhance your embodied well-being. All you have to do is go to theembodylab.com and use the code GentlyUse10 at checkout. Can you give me an example? I love that, by the way. I love that you get the reinforcement, because I imagine like I imagine not all the comments are sweet, and you have to like you got to navigate that shit too.
Let me tell you one
Yeah,
story that
yeah.
was
Tell me 10 stories.
early on,
Yeah.
and this was so aggressive.
Oh.
It was when the George Floyd stuff had happened,
Yeah.
and I'm black, my wife is white,
Mm-hmm.
and we felt it, and
Yeah.
so we did this challenge that Twitch and his wife had done in 2020, and it was just like put a finger down, and it was about like if you have been followed in a store.
Yeah.
And like I went through it and all my fingers were down, hers were not. And it was to represent that like this does happen. Right.
Yeah.
And it was a simple video, and we just wanted to put something out there to, again, touch people and be like, we get it, we see you. It got hold of some guy that was very not happy about it. And he like reposted it, and he talked garbage. And then all the comments from his and all his followers or whatever streamed back to ours, where people who don't know me, have never met me, don't know our relationship, don't even know who we are. We're like, oh, he forced her to keep her hands up. He probably beat her before the video to keep, and God, like it was aggressive. And I was like, and I saw it first, and I remember telling her, whatever you do not read these comments. Yeah. Please do not read these comments. I want you to be free of not knowing what this says. Yeah. And I am fighting tooth and nail not to be in the comments and be like, oh yeah, well, you want to. Yeah. And it was just one of those moments where it hurt a ton, even though none of these people know me. Yeah. And it was one of those lessons of within this path is that I can build and foster and try to maintain a community within what I'm putting out that is supportive and kind and trying to be happy and have fun. Or and I think in doing that, it helps keep some of that out, keep some of the people that just want to tear it apart, because eventually it starts to police itself. Yeah. And in my comments, typically, if someone comes in and they want to, well, people will be like, well, we don't do that here. Wow. Like that's no. Like, relax, Charlie. We're having a good time. Karen, step aside. So in that moment, it hurt a lot, and it was really hard. Yeah. But it was such a huge lesson in like, all right, what are we going to put out? What are we giving to people? What do we want people to get from what is being put out? And how can we be conscious of what the conversation is, how we can present it to be welcoming as opposed to, butting heads. Yeah. And so it forced a lot of how I feel about everything, but it was so aggressive and so mean-spirited and ugly. Yeah. And that's another part of why I'm like, I want to be the other part of the internet that puts a different energy out there and into it, because there are both sides. Yeah.
Do you feel like that changed even what you were, or created hesitation as to what you would put out there or content you would create?
I think it definitely changed how I felt about putting my opinions out there, unless I feel very strongly about them. Yeah. Right. So there are certain things that I feel strongly about as a social issue that I feel I will do a video on and speak on. And I like to call that the, when I'm like washing through the followers, because I'll lose like 3,000 and be like, well, good. We got rid of the ones that were, now we'll get more of the good ones. All right. Yeah. Perfect. But
that's like that's your flat earth content.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty much that.
It's not everyone.
But I think it changed that. And one of the things I enjoy now with it is I get a lot of comments of, oh, I don't really even know politically where he stands on this issue. And the reason I like it is because it allows each person, or allows for people on each side to watch this video and laugh. Like I'm going to make fun of Donald Trump, but I'm also going to make fun of Joe Biden, because they're both doing silly things. Like everybody, like there's something funny in all of it.
Yeah.
if we just like watch and be like, wow, that's kind of silly. Like there's no matter who you are, if you can just look at it and find a laugh, okay, all right, like relax. We're all just here trying to get by.
Yeah.
And so I've tried, it definitely changed it in that where I was like, I don't think I'm built to have that back and forth online with strangers. I can't be, as much as I would love to be a voice for certain things, I know I just can't, because it hit me too hard. Yeah. And so I knew for me to be able to continue to do this and do it in a way I want to, I have to sort of not be that and just sort of focus on being a more bring it together kind of person rather than stand on a soapbox or anything like that. Because just for me personally, I felt that and I was like, nah, this is not, I personally can't do that.
Yeah.
All the time.
So what was your healing or your collective healing, meaning you and your wife, healing process from that type of like aggressive attack?
Our tribe, like your community, we kind of fell back into that. And I was like, guys, what happened here? Like it seems like everybody hates me. Like what?
Yeah.
And it's good to have, those people that are that still know you, not internet you. So we did that, and just a lot of conversation. Her and I have tons of really like deep personal, like we talk a lot, we communicate a lot and talk about a lot of things. And I think that always makes it a little easier to get through that stuff and feel it, and then be able to navigate it and let it go. Yeah. And move on to where you need to move on to after that. And so I think just the communication is what got us through it, and deciding what we would represent and put back into the world after that.
I really appreciate that. That's sort of like the what you have in that relationship, in that way of like the space to really process through things and delineate like what happens next from here. That's pretty special.
Yeah, it's she's a good one. She's a good
one. I already love her.
Don't tell her I said that though.
I won't. I texted her earlier and I was like, you're the best, but I will unsend it.
Yeah.
Quote unquote.
Thank you. God, thank you. Can't fit her head through the door. It'll be too much.
Oh goodness. With all her followers. Does she have I don't even know. Does she have like a social media following too? Or is it like,
she has some that have sort of piggybacked off of me and gone to her because they're like, oh, this is his wife. And I used to do videos. Her name's Sarah, and she spells it with an H. And there was this sound on TikTok that was like, hello, my name is Sarah. It's Sarah with an H. And I used to, at random times, like if she was cooking or walking out of Walgreens or walking into the house, I would just run up with the camera, play the song, and video her response. And she hated it. And then I would post those. And so a lot of people knew her through that, started following her for that. So I've since then stopped because I didn't want her to divorce me. But since then, I've tried to bring her into some sketches, and she's like, no, I don't. I'm awkward. I don't want to do this. So she keeps herself. She likes being in the background, even though she's a dancer, performer in her own right. She likes creating and being out there in her space. Okay. And I can lead this one, and she'll be happily behind, like, I'm so proud. You're doing great, honey. That's it. Leave it there.
It's interesting to think about the boundaries of our, like, what we're crafting in each of our own social spaces in that way.
Yeah. Yes.
And how important 100%. That is.
And I find it very interesting between the two of us because we're both creative. Like she is a dancer and ran a dance company, still runs a dance company. And she is creative. You have to be in that world. Yeah. And it's funny that if you tried to if we tried to cross paths into each other's world, it would be like, I can't do that at all. If I tried to choreograph anything, it would be awful.
Well, we know that from your first video. If you recall.
Believe me, everyone was like, you know what? Maybe you stop dancing, buddy. Like, do something else.
But that's even more desire for, I think, me to watch you dance.
And believe me, other people have asked, they're like, how come you don't do the dance videos anymore? I'm like, because you just want to laugh. That's you're not laughing with me at that point. You're just laughing at me. I know the difference.
Now, Brian, I thought your purpose is to get people to laugh. So let's be real here.
It's a fair point. It is a fair point.
Not to call you out on it. What like, talk me through your creative process. Like, how do you go from beginning to like posting? Like, what happens in the world of Brian, the inner world of Brian, that creates these like very nuanced sketches? And
I think a lot of it is as simple as just like a moment, a thing, right?
Okay.
Maybe I saw a meme, right? Because one time I saw a meme of, it had something to do with a portable CD player.
What's that?
Right? Seriously. It's an old artifact from a bygone era. But I saw some meme and I was like, oh, that's funny. Oh. And then just let it roll through. How would each generation react to me walking out with this CD player? And just kind of navigating and finding my path through that. Or a lot of times it has to do with something that happened in the news, a current event, whatever it is. And those ones are easier for me to just sort of try and reflect back what I know people are feeling and just try to present it in a funnier way. Because, for example, one thing that I've done is, I'm sorry, I feel like I'm rambling, but one thing I've done.
Brian, tell us we love you.
One thing I did was I started in that God in the years bit.
Yeah.
Was if a beloved celebrity passed away or whatever, everyone was always like, no. And it would be a video of God being like, you took Bob Saget? What's wrong with you? Why would you do that? That wasn't on the schedule, like blah, blah, blah. Like all this stuff. And it wasn't making fun of the Bob Saget passing away. It was almost, then I would make references to like, cleaning up a lot like Danny Tanner or this, that, the other, and kind of like trying to find a way to mix in a tribute to some of their work. Mm-hmm. And there was one time I did one for Betty White.
Oh. And
someone commented, so you're making light of someone that has passed away, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. And people in the comments were like, did you meet Betty White? Like, do you know what she was like? Like, she would love this. Are you kidding? She would make fun of Betty White. And so it's always just trying to reflect back what people feel, because the different one was when Twitch passed away. And so that one, I know my wife loved him. I loved him. Like, we loved following them. They had actually followed me back at one point, and we were celebrating in the kitchen. So, like, we love them, admired them, look up to them. And when he passed away, the news hit us. We were messaging, and I saw how people were reacting to it because it was a shock. And I said, there is no place for me to deliver a joke on this. Yeah. So the video instead, and I've done this a couple times, was I had all the messages of like, oh my God, like, what is God going to say about this? Like, you need to do a video. And I know people are waiting for it. Yeah. And I was like, all right, well, how can we dance with this? And no pun intended. But what I did was made it sort of a serious video of, God yelling at the years about mental health and being like, we don't know what people are going through. And they've gone through a lot these last few years. So get it to, and it was just, it felt somber and strict and like there were no jokes placed in it other than the end. Cause part of the bit is always God goes, oh, Jesus. And Jesus comes in. Yeah. And so it ended with Jesus coming in and being like, wow, this new guy's like a great dancer, or whatever the joke at the end was, which still was like a spark of a tribute that felt a little light at the end.
Yeah.
And then the comments after that were, and messages I got were more so like, oh, thank you for this.
Mm.
I know this isn't normally the path, but somehow you gave me the thing I kind of wanted and needed and for what I was feeling in the moment. And so
Yeah.
going back to what I said before, that's kind of what the job to me feels like and should be is,
Yeah.
yeah, I want to make people laugh and do the sillies and the funnies all the time, but it's a matter of being able to make people feel okay in a moment. And a lot of the messages back were that they
Yeah.
felt like it was okay to feel how they felt about this situation. And so that's it. It's trying to give back what I know people are feeling and what they just give it back to them, basically.
That's really beautiful. I mean, and it's especially around, I mean, things that we have such little control over, and
Mm-hmm.
especially I would say around death, is like we're looking for something to give us a container to have clarity of our own experience or to reflect our own
Mm-hmm.
experience or hold us in it.
Absolutely.
And I really appreciate the thoughtfulness to which you're doing that. It's not easy.
It I think part of it, especially that video, and I always remember that video because I, in the moment, was also very much feeling it. I think
Yeah.
that's one of the videos that made me most feel like this is something that really does connect. Like I felt so connected
Yeah.
to so many people I have never in my life met that I don't know, and it was just I don't know, it was just one of those like really nice experiences to feel
Mm.
in a world that feels so divided so often, and that is
Yeah.
kind of what
Yeah.
is thrown in our face so often. That was one of those moments where in tragedy, in sadness, it felt like together and that we could be support each
Yeah.
other. And I think that's such an important thing to understand and know that there are people out there, that there are people that want to support you, that want to, let you feel and feel how you
Yeah.
need to feel. And so it's
Yeah.
important. I like it sounds silly, and some people might look at this and be like, "Oh, this guy just makes jokes online. Like, why does he think these are so important?" But to me, they are. To me, they mean a lot more than just a silly
Yeah.
video that you watch for 25 seconds.
Yeah. I don't know if people, I mean, I hope people are not saying that. I mean, I think you're friends with Rod, right?
Yeah. I love Rod's great, by the
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
everything he puts
Rod's
out
great.
is top tier, pristine.
Yeah. It's brilliant. And we were in LA together once, and we were at a smoothie shop. And I had said this when I had interviewed him on the show. It's like, and these folks came up to him and they were like, "Thank you," and there was
Mm,
like tearfulness in their
mm.
eyes, and I was like, "What are they thanking you for, dude? Like, did you like?" I was kind of confused, and
Yeah.
then they went on. They're like, we literally got through COVID because of you. And I was like, and it was so meaningful to watch
Hmm.
because it's like the value that work like yours has is that it really gives, like I said, people a container to reflect on their own experience or to have some relief in what feels like a lot
Hmm.
of overwhelm and flooding and despair and tragedy and it's so I really want to reflect back to you in that without air quotes just how meaningful your work actually
Yeah.
is.
And I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it is what people don't we don't accept it as this, I don't think yet, but it is a form of entertainment. And I think
Yeah.
when you think of entertainment, you think of like Hollywood and
Mm.
the big entertainment industry
Yeah.
that sometimes is very much bogged down by what are we making,
Politics. Yeah.
the politics of it, the
Yeah.
money, all of that stuff. And when you see art that touches you
Yeah.
and there's meaning behind it, it really, really has legs and can really reach into your soul the way I see
Yeah.
it.
Mm.
And so whether it's silly, whatever it is that's on our phones, I do think the people who are in it for the right things, like a Rod, like him and others, I think it's brought back down to sort of that raw level where it's more, we're not bound by a studio or whatever the boss says or what's popular now and they're trying to make their money. We're just putting out what we want to put out to our audience and what we want to say to them and how we want to engage with a passion and love to it.
Yeah.
And so I think it's entertainment that is back to its sort of raw artistic form. I hate to air quotes it because I sometimes undersell it. Right. I sometimes undersell it because I feel like people see this world, the influencer or the creator, as just, somebody looking to get followers and be popular. But I think the people that are doing it to touch and reach people, I do think what they do a lot of times is art. And it's bringing sort of that industry back to its like raw space where it's connective and telling stories or cracking jokes or whatever to be like, this is our experience and it's our experience together. And it's cool to talk about it and have fun with it at certain points, Yeah. So I do think it's so important to have it especially with an entertainment industry that sometimes feels like it doesn't really care about anything but a dollar sign.
No. I mean, I don't know why, but it never really occurred to me just how accessible art is now to us via our phone. Like how, the price of admission is relatively free. I mean, we could say it has costs on our, social and physiological system, but we won't get into that. But like, I just like, I'm like, oh yeah, like I'm having a millennial moment and going, art, you had to go to the art museum. You had to like, like you had to wait for Xena Warrior Princess to come on Friday night at 8 p.m. every week.
Yeah.
Where it's like, where we
great
really
reference, great pull, great pull,
followed by X-Files, or right before it was X-Files.
Yes, there's a Gen Alpha kid somewhere going, what the hell?
What is that? It's all right. They're not listening to my show. How you doing with the big news around the TikToks?
Yeah, wild times. For me personally, I early on I saw this whole experience, this whole TikTok thing, social media going viral, this, that. Yeah. I sort of took it as an opportunity to grow. And I was like, I saw Vine. MySpace ain't here. I know these apps.
Rest in peace, MySpace.
Oh, God. Forever in my heart.
Forever in my heart, MySpace.
I never put all my eggs in that TikTok basket. I sort of saw it, and I noticed a lot of other people that were getting viral, going viral. They were blowing up on TikTok, but not on Instagram. They weren't growing there. They weren't growing on YouTube. They weren't growing on whatever else there was. And I thought, it's weird that that's not translating to my other profiles. So I started trying to figure out how can I make these grow too? Because if TikTok goes away, I'm screwed. I'm back to square one.
Yeah.
Like my audience on TikTok is mainly 25 to 34. My audience on Instagram is mainly 35 to 44. My audience on my audience on YouTube, surprisingly, is very young, is like 18 to 25. Oh. And so it's so interesting to see that it has found its place to each person, which in a way tells me who is digesting each app the most.
Yeah.
And so in going to other spaces, I was able to reach other people and build with other people. And I also then got a writing coach. So I hired a writing coach to be like, how can I turn stupid sketches into screenwriting? Because I had people reach out and ask me, hey, do you have show ideas? Hey, are you screenwriting? Like how can what can we do? How can we work together? So I hired a writing coach to get me the basics and get me moving. And I started writing a pilot. Just along the way, got into more acting, landed some gigs, my first gigs, and started to build into other careers and spaces. So luckily now, whenever someone's like, hey, so what are you going to do if TikTok gets banned? I go, I'm going to be fine because I planned for it to be banned. I planned for it to be gone at some point.
Yeah.
I didn't know when it would be. I don't know if it even will be now. But all I know is that I wanted to be prepared to not have the rug pulled out from under me. And so I moved. I tried to make the most and use it as a launch pad. Try to find, what can I do here? What's the next level? How can I keep growing and evolving? And I hope soon that I'll be able to do more than just social media sketches and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah. Wow.
So for me,
that was smart.
I should be good.
That's millennial wisdom right there, because we have seen the downfall of many social media platforms.
Yes.
Rest in peace,
100%.
MySpace. Rest in peace. This show is also brought to you by the absolutely stunning and powerful tools of transformation that are created by Omala. Oof, even the name Omala transports you to a place of flow and vitality. These are some of my favorite products ever. They have an amazing color-changing yoga mat that responds to your temperature and presence and reflects back your posture in real time. There's this incredible smelling skin balm candle that heats up to activate all the essential oils and vitamins that your skin has been craving. I mean, look, if I could live in a giant bath of this candle, I would 100% do it. They also have these journals that lead you into profound insight, and then you get to plant those journals to create a stunning flower garden. What? I mean, if that's not deep and inventive, I don't know what is. If you're someone who desires to live a luxurious flow of life and who believes in transformative wellness, then you have to check out Omala. Omala is giving my listeners an exclusive discount to treat yourself to something that is as special as you, boo. All you have to do is go to omala.com, that's OMALA.com, and use the code DrScott10 at checkout. And a portion of every purchase goes to an incredible charity. You got this.
But it does, I will say it does make me sad for two reasons.
Yeah.
One is, let's go ahead and say it gets banned, right?
Yeah.
It makes me sad for the audience I have there that may not be on Instagram or YouTube or whatever, or may not have found me somewhere else, or inevitably you will lose some people in the shuffle, which stinks because I've grown close to my audience. I don't know everybody, but those are my people. That's, that's who I get up for. Yeah. And so that stinks. Yeah. And the other part of it is there are people that have put their eggs in the TikTok basket, all their eggs in that TikTok basket. Yeah. And they are creative people. They are brilliantly creative people, amazing people. Yeah. And at the end of the day, that's what makes me hate the idea of it being banned, just because there's so much talent, real talent that shoots out of it. I know you can watch TikTok and be like, it's just a bunch of teenagers doing all this stuff. But there are real people with real talent, real artistic, creative, brilliant people that are going to lose a lot of stuff because of it.
Yeah. It's pretty devastating, actually.
Yeah. Especially and financially, because I'm sure I'm sure that becomes a full-time job, and it is a job. It's not just like, hey, here's a video. See you later. I'm not going to work again.
Yeah.
So it is work. And so all of it just kind of stinks in that sense of it.
Yeah. When I first heard about the TikTok ban, I thought to myself, what's my niece going to use to ignore me now? Like when I talk to her and say, how's your day? What's she going to focus on now?
Right. She's going to be holding up the phone and be like, I know there's nothing there.
I know I'm staring at a blank screen. Still better than you, asshole. I remember at the beginning feeling like I have to somehow compete with TikTok
Yeah.
to get attention in real life and IRL. Do
Oh
people still
yeah.
say IRL?
I mean, I think
Is that a
what,
millennial thing?
one of the funniest things ever that happened was someone in real, like IRL,
Yeah.
said hashtag something for the first time. I heard someone say that, and I was like,
Mhm.
"What is going on here?"
Oh my
Like,
god. I was on a date once and the guy said hashtag LOL and I got up and left. I got up and left. I just was like, no, this is done. This is so done.
Like hashtag over, my friend.
Hashtag over. But
Yeah.
I just couldn't
Oh
even
my.
say that. I was like, I gotta go.
It was. I don't remember when it was. I just remember how shocked I was in the moment. Someone's
Yeah.
out loud said, "Oh, hashtag whatever." What are we doing here? No, this is not what we're doing. Also, that's the pound sign. Stop it.
Also, that's the pound sign. Also, for those who say LOL out loud, if you're saying LOL, you are not laughing out loud. You are not, because you are too busy saying LOL, to which it is not a direct reference to what is actually happening.
Okay, so question.
Okay,
Real
go on.
question.
Yeah.
When you're texting someone and they say something funny,
Yeah.
when you say LOL, are you actually laughing out loud?
I have never in my life written LOL. I refuse to. I've never used an emoji, and I don't
Wow.
write shorthand.
But first of all, that's a very impressive. I'm very impressed by that.
I'm like a mean elder millennial when it comes to texting. Okay.
So you're the one at the elder meetings when we have the millennial meetings. You're the elders that we seek guidance from.
You should be seeking guidance from me. So when I was in grad school and I was doing, research in neuroscience, and I was looking at how the truncation of language leads to a more narrow perspective of reality. Narrow perspective of that, because language helps us expand our concept of possibility and actually the multiplicity of empathy of our concept of what's possible.
Yep.
And so the truncation of it actually leads to the truncation of our perception, like the limitation of our perception. So I have been that hardcore neuroscience elder millennial snob who will not truncate language or write LOL or use an emoji. Still, I don't even care anymore, and I still won't do it. It's just too late. I've been
I know. I've committed, and here we are. This is it.
Here we are.
I can't do that now.
And the amount of time I could save by just putting a fucking thumbs up emoji as opposed to 3 sentences that could be represented by that. Sexting is not sexy because I'll write everything out when I could just put an eggplant emoji like the rest of people do.
That's so funny. Just all right, hold on. This is going to be very descriptive. Give me a moment.
Yeah.
Let me. And you're like, all right, let me finish this paragraph, and we'll see where we're at.
Exactly. Welcome to why I was single for so long.
That's so awesome. That's so funny. Oh man.
All right. Okay. Speaking of funny, I have a game for us. Now, you have some weird obsession with Batman, right? Is that true?
I do. He sits right here on my wrist,
your wrist. I would not
symbol.
have seen that. Okay.
So I will say, in my defense, because most people will be like, "You have a Batman tattoo? What are you, a child?"
No, I would say you're a DC fan. What the fuck?
And I'd stand 10 toes down on that too.
All right.
But the reason for my Batman love is because the way I interpret it, and like the DC aside, the Batman stuff is like the comics are actually like real deep and kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But the thing I love is that in a full world of superheroes, superpowered things, this, super that, whatever, it is a dude that
True.
is just like, he's like, I'm going to use every resource I have at my fingertips. I am going to train this body to the maximum that it can go. I am going to get the most out of everything I got. And I'm going to exist in a world of super people. And there's something about that. And the reason I got this tattoo and it's on my wrist is so that I, every now and then I can see it as a reminder of like, as I try to enter a world of entertainment that's legitimate, I don't want to say legitimate because I just spent so much time saying that what I believe this social media.
Do you want to say quote unquote legitimate?
Quote unquote. Nailed it. Absolutely nailed it. It feels like this was an entire build up for this one moment. This was perfect.
We played the long game of the joke.
Excellent work. But in the quote unquote literal like entertainment world, it's a reminder that even though you see the quote unquote super people out there that are doing it in big, and I will feel like small fish or whatever. Hey, no, just use what you've got. Make the most of it, work at it. And no, because one of the running jokes is always, who wins in a fight, Batman or so-and-so? And you always ask, does Batman have prep time? Because if you give him prep time, he's got you. You know what I mean? He's already ready. He's built up a plan. He's already put everything together. So that was a big part of my big Batman love and why that tattoo is there. Because most people be like, oh, okay, you Batman. And I'm like, there's reasons behind it. You stop. Like, I don't get tattoos just for the sake of it.
I'm pretty sure in Batman versus Superman, Batman won.
Yeah. Sure did.
Sure did.
Found out Mr. Clark Kent was he had a little issue with some green rocks. And guess who built out a whole plan? All of a sudden he showed up with spears and stuff. Batman with prep time.
Batman with prep time.
That's how I live.
I remember when I was younger and I asked, because I used to be a big comic fan and still am. And I remember asking someone, I don't remember who it was. And I said, what's Batman's superpower? And they responded, PTSD.
Kind of,
honestly,
right? Kind of.
And I was like, it took me years to understand what that meant. But like, I was like, oh, okay.
Kind of. That's actually aggressively on point.
So we have a game called Batman Facts Lightning Round. All right. And it's going to be true or false. So it's going to be that much easier for you.
I can't wait to still fail.
Well, here's the beauty of this game is you get 1 point for being right, but you also get 1 point for convincing me you're right.
Oh, done.
So like it's true or false, but why?
Okay. All right. I support this.
I support this too. I feel like I know you, and so I built this game for that.
All right. Let's cook.
Number one. Whoa. That's what the kids say. Let's cook.
Yeah.
Even though all they do is order Uber Eats.
Yes, that's true. Isn't it a thing? Like let him cook. Like let me cook or something.
I have no idea. I make it my life's mission to not know what's cool.
This got very old very fast.
We're so old. So
like we just got. Let's edit this part out.
Let's not. Let's cook. All right. So for number one, Batman once had a rainbow-colored batsuit for stealth missions.
Well, it depends on what the mission was. If he had missions in colorful spaces, perhaps. So I'm reversing course here. I'm going to say true because sometimes you got to go to a colorful spot. You know, what if you're at a rainbow themed prom? You know what I mean? What if it's a Wizard of Oz type vibe? You know, somewhere over the rainbow, and he's got to show up and be stealthy.
I will say you earned 2 points.
Bang! Let's go.
Bang. Batman did indeed wear a different colored batsuit, including a rainbow one. And the reason was like to distract from Robin's injury, or Batman was at Pride. Yeah.
That's where I should have went. That would have made the most sense.
I was like a rainbow colored prom. Do you mean gay prom? All right, number 2. In an alternative universe, Batman is a vampire fighting Dracula.
True. Strictly because I'm pretty sure I know that's true.
I'm going to give you 1 point for being right, but not convincing me you're right. All right, number 3. You got to work on that second part. All right. All right, number 3. Batman and the Joker are related.
See, no, false. They're not related because one, I mean, imagine having to go through all that with a relative, you know?
I can't.
Like that. I guess all signs should point
Have
to
you
them
never
being
seen
related,
Jerry
but-
Springer? Like, do you not remember the Jerry Springer episode where Batman and Joker are there?
Swear to God.
And everyone's like, Jerry.
I swear to God, when I was doing improv classes, I wrote a sketch that was in our graduation improv show that was Batman and the Joker in therapy together. And it was essentially like a Jerry Springer type vibe of them going at it. So honestly, great point. But no, they're not related strictly because Batman is younger. If you physically look at them, not close together, you know, like just genetically.
Yeah.
Impossible. How is this guy, you know, skinny as a rail and this guy is just a moose? Yeah. So I think that just they don't look alike. I mean, I feel like it would be too messed up to be a billionaire guy and just kick your sibling out to the curb after your parents are murdered. You know? Yeah. Like that would be a real ugly story. So there's no way that they're related because that's terrible. That's awful. 2
points.
Love that.
Bang. 2 points. All right. That is correct. They are not related. Number 4. Batman once battled a villain named the Condiment King.
True. And I think it was really, he was going through a dark time and he had...
The Dark Knight was going through a dark time. I get that.
The Dark Knight was having a dark time and, you know, he kind of let his weight go and he had a real battle with, you know, some of the greasy foods, some of the bad foods. And ultimately it ended with a monumental battle with the Condiment King.
3 points. That was pretty funny. Yes, it is true. The Condiment King is real.
Which is wild.
It's wild. And I've actually seen the Condiment King in other comic series too.
Yes.
So he's popular.
Yeah, it's bananas.
Bananas. He showed up in Harley Quinn. Did you ever see Harley Quinn?
Yeah, I love that show.
Oh my God, that show was brilliant.
Bane in that show kills me. Kills me.
I don't think I've ever been so like titillated and offended simultaneously as that show.
Yeah, I don't know if I've heard someone describe that show as perfect as you just did.
Well, thank you. I'll give 3 points to myself.
That was perfect. Yes. I'll give you 5. I will give you 5 points.
I will take your 5 points. All right. Bruce Wayne bought a bank just because it was handling Superman's mortgage.
Well, first of all, Batman, petty king. So yes, true. And,
petty king, yeah.
And I don't think I need to say more than that. Batman, if you really work with anybody that's dressing up like a bat and beating the bag out of people in the streets, like he's got to be a little bit petty, all just because his parents were murdered. Big deal. Like,
well, I'm going to give you 1 point for being right, but I'm not going to give you the second point for shit talking Batman because he did out of the goodness of his heart that Clark Kent's mom's mortgage, which Superman had, fair. And he paid off the fucking mortgage that way.
Damn, see,
make sure. Great. I mean, damn, and you have this hatred for him, and you have a tattoo of him. 1 point. 1 point.
Listen, I had to roast the guy. That's the job, you know. I love him, but you got to roast him.
All right, 2 points. All right, Batman's suit has a pocket for bat snacks because crime fighting makes him hungry.
It's 100% true. Here's why. Because imagine we all go to the gym, right?
Hopefully.
Like the gym ends up ends up making you hungry. Like
Yeah.
if you go out and you're active, you end up hungry. That's how the human body works.
Yeah.
He's out all night. All night.
All night.
We are in our millennial space, if we go out all night, how tired are we? How spent are we?
I'm done for a week.
Thank you. And you know what you need? Is you need snacks while you're out. You need snacks, a snack pocket. It's brilliant, really. I've told you that Batman is consistently prepared. That is just more evidence of it.
So what I hear you saying is Batman is a snack slut.
Yes.
Yeah.
Me and him both.
Yeah.
Me and him both. I have never heard the term snack slut, but I am exactly that, and I need it on a t-shirt.
Yeah. You're welcome. Actually, it's part of our merch line here at The Gently Used Human. It just says snack slut.
Because I am that. I
am too.
Most people I like, a good pocket of the people I spend my time with are also snack sluts. So
yeah. I feel like the generation before us would call it noshing or noshers.
Oh.
Yeah, that's like the Yiddish word for it. Like they be noshing.
Okay.
And
I like ours better.
I know.
It's
I
very
like
millennial of us.
Very millennial. Very millennial. One point, it is actually false. Even though his utility built it's made for practical shit. And apparently snacks are not practical because
that's stupid.
Well, think about it. He's like creeping around late at night, and all of a sudden you hear like crackers smushing in his pocket. Like it's not a good sound for
honestly
his
that image is so funny of Batman just hidden in a corner, like lurched up against the wall, and you just hear like bad guys all doing business down here. And they're like,
and he's just fucking like Cheez-Its, fucking Cheez-Its.
Hold on, I'll be down in a minute. That's so funny.
That's so funny. I think Cheez-Its are a millennial snack.
Are they?
Yeah, I feel like they were like our generation.
Because I do feel that we are very Cheez-It focused.
Now
like we are we may be keeping that entire business alive. I do know.
I think so.
Every millennial I know loves them some Cheez-Its.
Yeah.
I didn't know if other generations did. So that might be very correct.
I don't know. I haven't seen the young alphas eating the Cheez-Its. I feel like
this is a great point.
I feel like they might have canceled Cheez-Its for all we know.
Which is true. For whatever reason, they decided in
GMOs and shit.
Yeah. In 1960, Cheez-Its said that they were cheese that's, and we didn't like it. Okay. What?
Now we're going to get canceled from them. All right. A few more. Are you ready?
I am ready.
There is a bat cow, part of the extended bat family.
That is false because, I mean, how useful is a cow in battle, you know? Unless if Batman doesn't have snacks on him, he definitely doesn't need a glass of milk. Like, so, I mean, he's not the 90s Got Milk commercials, so he doesn't need, he's not cooking burgers while he's out in the field, I guess. So I would argue that no. The bat cow is not in the family.
The answer is true. There is a bat cow, but I'm going to give you 1 point for almost convincing me it was false.
Wow.
It comes in the comics. Yeah.
God, they really do everything in there.
I know. We got 2 more. Are you ready?
I hope so. Well, after hearing about bat cow, now I don't know so much.
I mean, it's apparent. 2 more. Ready? This is fucked. Batman's only superpower is being super rich. Especially after the PTSD joke. I feel like this question is so perfect.
I mean, no, it is false because he is not the money helps.
Okay.
But it's the trauma that drives him.
I'm giving you 8 points, but the answer, according to my producer, is true. that Batman's superpower was being super wealthy. But then we have like the Green Arrow, who is also a billionaire.
Yeah.
And I would say his superpower was like flinging arrows.
Yeah. He was
pretty accurately.
Wildly accurate.
Accurate.
Like, yeah. Please.
Please.
It's the trauma that fuels my guy.
It's all right, last one. Batman developed a special bat spray that makes him invisible to CCTV cameras.
True. Because one, it also doubles as cologne because it smells delightful. It smells like it is intoxicating to everyone, to be honest. Everybody just loves the smell of it, which also is a little counterproductive, which was dumb on his part because the cameras can't see him, but everyone is just to
pheromoned
the
up.
Pheromoned all the way up.
UD Batman gets them hot.
But I mean, hey, what are you going to do? Then no one really wants to fight him, so he can just mosey on in. So I'm going to say yes because it is also bat cologne.
I'm going to give you 1 point for creativity, and unfortunately, you did not win the true or false point. It is false. But you, we are totaling up your score, and you have 12 points.
That feels really solid.
That feels real solid. And I would say you won.
I would agree. I would say,
yeah.
I definitely beat whoever was going against me. So yeah, that's a victory, I think.
Sure. Let's look at it
the other person in the Batman quiz. That was
Yeah. Out of all the people we interviewed with this Batman quiz, you have scored the only and the highest.
Yes, that's more than enough for me. That's
Congratulations, Brian, and you have won the Gently Used Human Challenge. Brian,
that is such a millennial way to win something. Be like, you are the only one who tried, and and you won though. Be like, damn right, give me my trophy, baby.
Give me my fucking trophy. Brian, thank you so much for being on the show. You are such a joy. Where in the world can people find you and follow you and caress you and whatnot?
Where in the world? I am always with Carmen Sandiego. That's where you can find.
That is the best millennial reference and answer.
Had to. It was just sitting right there. It was too delicious. At BMO the Prince. BMO the Prince on just about everything. I'm assuming. I think everywhere and everything. Unless the alphas have new apps that I don't know about, which I will never care about. So and if you have a MySpace, maybe find me there. Maybe
oh my God.
Who knows?
And that foot fetish app we talked about.
Feet Finder, baby.
Feet Finder, baby. Prince on Feet Finder.
It's funny. I hate feet so much. I would rather have a second pair of hands. If I'm going to be perfectly.
And that is your superpower. Really.
That and the trauma, baby.
That and the trauma. Thank you so much. And thank you, all those you gently used humans, for tuning in. And we look forward to connecting with you next time. Thank you for listening to the Gently Used Human podcast with Dr. Scott Lyons and friends. Visit gentlyused.com for fun extras, including submitting your questions for advice from a Midwestern mom. And don't forget to spill the tea and gossip about the show with all your friends and frenemies. And you know what? Show us some love by giving us 5 stars and leaving a review in your favorite apps. This helps us connect with all the other gently used humans out there. Oh, and by the way, you look fierce today.